Hey friends, today I'm working on a gym for Willow Creek as part of my save file that I'm making with all of the Sims 2 recreations. So let's get right into it. So as you'll see when the video starts here, I've actually already built part of it when I start the speed build, and I really struggled with this for some reason. So this is actually like the second or third iteration of it. But basically what I do is I copy the building from the Caliente and Lothario build. It's kind of a way to mirror that as like a commercial lot. So right now I'm just kind of going through and adding all the walls back, making it fully built out, and that's kind of the basis of the gym. And yeah, I really wasn't happy with the first kind of couple tries that I did with it, because I wanted to include a whole bunch of different activities for your Sims to do, and I just wasn't finding a layout that I liked. So I really like how this ends up turning out. There's multiple floors and there's multiple like double high floors, if that makes sense. Like there'll be an opening between two floors on like multiple levels, and I think it gives it a really unique look. And I wanted this building to mirror the Caliente and Lothario build, so that it looked like both of these buildings were maybe like warehouses or like industrial buildings at some point that were converted into condos and this like gym, because we all love gentrification, of course, so I have to bring that into the Sims. But I also wanted to add in I also add in a cafe to this build, along with a small yoga studio. That way there's a few different options that you can use the lot for. So it has multiple levels here. You'll walk in to this kind of front desk area where like in a real gym you would check in, buy membership, things like that. And then down below will be a pool and the restrooms and locker rooms. And then the next floor up, it has climbing walls, and then another floor up eventually I'll also add in just more general workout equipment up there. And for this front desk area, I actually make it so the chair isn't usable. That way your Sims aren't trying to use that computer constantly when you're at the gym. But of course, if you want to use it, you just have to slide that chair into the slot to use it. And then by these stairs, I wanted to create kind of a shelving display that I'll do a little bit later, that I think works out pretty well. Those shelves that came with Spa Day, they kind of snap to the wall, but I just use the alt placement to pull them away and kind of create or at least make it look like they're attached to the stairs, which I think works out pretty well. And I do use a lot of items from Spa Day, so if you don't have that pack, I don't know how usable the lot will be, but I'm sure you can swap out some of the items. I think all the yoga stuff is from that pack, but you could always repurpose that space for something else. Yeah, so I actually built this where the gym currently is in Willow Creek. So it's that same lot. So I thought that worked out pretty well. And then here in the restroom, I just made it kind of one restroom with separate rooms for the toilets and showers. I thought that would just be easier. But I'll make sure to player test it and make sure everything works, because there are a lot of small spaces in the bathroom, and then interesting staircases and all of that. So I'll make sure everything works before I add it to the gallery. But I wanted the bathroom to be a little bit more modern and updated. The rest of the build I kept pretty almost industrial looking, with the exposed brick and the wood floors, and I'll add in some exposed pipes and whatnot throughout, and I think that looked pretty good. I thought that made sense. Then I was trying to find a place to put in a seating area. So I originally put one down here next to these climbing walls, but I do eventually move the climbing walls to a different floor because I really wanted to have a pool on this lot. Since there aren't, or at least I'm not planning on having any public pools anywhere else in the world, but we'll see. I might add one to the park, but I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But yeah, so on the ground floor, I was going to add in a cafe here. So I start getting that laid out. I have a couple of bathrooms, and then I'll start pulling out counters and espresso machines and different items like that for that. And I don't know if you can tell, but I am definitely ready for spring. I got my $10 tulips from the grocery store. They smell really good and they look really good back there, so I'm very happy with my purchase. I would highly recommend. But yeah, these counters and I think the espresso machines and everything are from Get Together. So that has a lot of really great items for this coffee bar cafe. And I used the wallpaper from, what is it? I keep wanting to say El Salvadorado, but what's the pack? Jungle Adventure. So it's from that one. Really nice looking. I also used it in the Caliente's condo in a different color, but I thought it worked really well in here. And I'm sorry if my voice sounds weird. I decided to have a piece of cake before this, which was a bad decision. But yeah, I had a friend's birthday this weekend, and I made 2 different cakes. So now I have 2 half cakes in my fridge that I'm trying to eat before they go bad. So yeah, so I have a cough drop. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, now I'm over here adding in the pool to the gym, and just adding in some. I wanted to add like a stone or tile floor. That made a little bit more sense around the pool. And then I'll add in some bench seating along the side of the pool here. And I believe those benches are also from Spa Day. I really like them. I use them a lot in whenever I'm creating gyms and locker rooms. They work really well in there. I think they look pretty good. And of course the pool wouldn't be complete without the net and life preserver decor item. So I had to add that in, of course. And then I'll kind of cut ahead here. I end up spending like 20 or 30 minutes trying to figure out different wall decorations for here, because it was looking a bit plain. So I end up just settling on those exposed pipes and some banners, and I think that ends up looking all right since it's just a pool. I couldn't really find anything else that looked okay. And then I add that bulletin board up by the door. Maybe it has advertisements for classes and things like that, community events. I thought that made sense. And then here's where I'm adding in a 3rd floor because I moved the climbing walls up, and then I'll kind of box in the rest of the floor and then add in more exercise equipment up here as well. And of course I use those same windows from the Moschino and the base game window throughout here that I used in the Caliente and Lothario build, so that they match. They just have that really great industrial look to them. And then I add some banners out front. I'll end up resizing them later with the tool mod. But yeah, here I added in that kind of open balcony area with the equipment. And then I'm just looking through every single column in the game, apparently, to try to find one that worked there. And then just kind of shuffling things around a bit. I'll eventually slide the balcony out a bit, make it a bit bigger up there. And it's always a little tricky trying to maintain some sort of, some semblance of realism in this game, because obviously you're limited on what's in the game and how it works, but Adding in columns underneath of this balcony, I think, was important to make it look like it's actually supported. And then I tried adding in some mirrors here, but it was a bit too much, so I just kept them on this other wall. I think that works out a bit better. And then, of course, had to add in some speakers throughout, so you can listen to some music while you're working out. And I struggled a bit to find decor items that I liked for this build. I do end up finding some pretty decent sports-related wall decorations. I use I think it's like a movie poster that looks kind of like a boxer, which I think makes sense. I think that other one is maybe like a soccer player. At least that's what I'm going to go with. And then, of course, that jersey that obviously fit in there pretty well. And then there were a couple more posters that I'll add in a little bit later. I tried that one piece of artwork, but it just felt kind of out of place. So, and of course, adding in some more mirrors here. And I even try to find a painting for this big area above the door. Eventually, I'll add in more banners. I'll just put 2 there, just kind of mirror the pool and the outside ones. But then I find these kind of like motivational posters, so I'll use those a bit later as well. But here I'm building the yoga studio. It's fairly small, but I think it should work. Again, I'll make sure to play test everything to make sure that your Sims can get in there and actually use it with the instructor. And then I wanted to create this kind of like juice bar lounge area. And, of course, it being The Sims, the counters that came with Spot A don't actually match the bar that came with Spot A, at least not very well. So at first I try to use the stainless steel one, which I really like, but it ends up being too big because I wanted to have some other stuff in this room. So I will switch that out here in a little bit. But yeah, I did add in those motivational posters, which I think are really great, along with more jerseys on that wall. But yeah, here I'll switch to this other base game bar, which I think works well. I don't think you need a really large bar for this. My idea is it's more like a place to get smoothies and protein shakes, things like that. And then I wanted to use those wall shelves again, but I couldn't quite get it to work well, especially in this kind of weird corner area. So instead I do a seating area, which I think works a lot better. And I end up using a bit of base game furniture. These chairs and matching sofa I thought worked really well in here. It feels comfortable, but still commercial. Like it doesn't really feel like a house necessarily. And then of course I had to use that same rug, that kind of beat up rug. I do use a different swatch though, so it's not exactly the same as the one I always use. And then I cut ahead here with the bathroom because it was a lot of copying and pasting from the downstairs one, so it was like a lot of switching floors, which was really annoying to watch back. And then here, just adding in some details to this bathroom with the hand towels and the soap dispensers. And then back in the yoga studio, adding in some different decor items to make it feel a little bit more zen, if you will. Add in some statues, some plants, and some other kind of signage. I love these towels. I actually just kind of lifted them up and put them on the bottom shelf of that square shelving unit, and I thought that worked out pretty well. And then I wanted to create a little bit more of an entrance for the yoga studio, so I used those light strips to distinguish it a little bit more, which I thought worked out all right. And then just adding in some artwork here, keep it pretty generic, I guess, with some landscapes and more of those matching banners. And the weird thing with these paintings is that they all came with the same pack, but one of them is like missing a swatch, so I couldn't use the same swatch that I wanted to for all three. So that was weird and annoying. But then I also changed the kind of branding, if you will, of the spa and those banners. So one is like the fitness center and one is the spa with the circle sort of shape. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then I switch it up here a bit, and I move the yoga studio and the kind of lounge area to the ground floor. And then I'm going to put the cafe up on the second floor, because I wanted them to have easy access from the cafe to the roof, so I could have like a rooftop seating area. So I switched that out here. And the cafe wasn't originally going to have an entrance from the gym into the cafe, but I do actually keep that entrance from the yoga studio. So I think that actually works out pretty well here. And then I try this exterior stair setup, which looks really goofy, so I do change this. I liked it for a minute, and then I was like, nah, this looks stupid. So I do get rid of that and change it. But here I'm adding another set of stairs up to the roof, so that people using the gym and the cafe can both go up there. Because I'll also add in a basketball court up on the roof too. So then the build for next week is actually going to be a kind of like a new version of the BFF household that already live in Willow Creek. I think I'm going to keep the families who were that came with The Sims 4 in the neighborhood as well. I'll either just remodel their house or build them a new one. But I'm going to move the BFF house to a different lot, pretty close to their current one. But I want to use the lot that they currently live on to do something else with. So I've actually completed that build already, so that'll be out next week as well. But yeah, I'm really excited for the one after that. But I'll wait to tell you about that until we get a little bit closer, just in case I change my mind again. But here I'm adding in some tables into the cafe. I wanted to create a seating area as well with some, comfy couches and chairs. So just adding in some kind of mismatched furniture over here. And I really love that sofa that came with Cottage Living. I thought that fit in pretty well here. And I wanted to use some, kind of mismatched furniture as if they picked them up at, like a thrift store or a yard sale or something. Since it's, just a cafe here. But yeah, I struggle a little bit with the placement. I'll eventually switch it a little bit and make it so that the two chairs, there's one on either side of the couch. And I think that works a bit better. And then I'll add in some different artwork here after I kind of redo the walls a little bit. But yeah, I struggle a bit with the table placement. I didn't want it to feel too cluttered in here, but I wanted to make sure that there was enough seating. But yeah, so I just make the tiling on the wall shorter for this area. That way it looks like you could actually hang up paintings without having to drill into tile, which wouldn't really make sense. But I went with these kind of historical ones, historical paintings. I thought that fit in pretty well here. And then I wanted to add in some greenery with plants. So I used the one from Cottage Living and then that hanging plant from the new plant kit. And I thought that worked out pretty well here. And then I'll add in some flowers on the tables along with a couple more paintings. These ones are a little bit more cutesy than the historical ones, but I thought they still fit in. And then I'm going to skip ahead a bit here because I spend quite a while cluttering up these shelves. I pick out individual cups and plates and stuff, so but I think the look was worth it. It just took a long time and was kind of boring to watch back, so I saved you that, so you don't have to watch that. But up here I add in a basketball court, like a half court, and I'll fence it in here. I'm still kind of torn on if I like this or not. And I skip ahead because I spent a long time trying to figure out what kind of fence I wanted to use. I played around with using solid walls and windows and a bunch of different fences. But I end up going with the fence from Eco Lifestyle. And of course, it being The Sims, it didn't come with a matching gate. So I just end up doing a small wall section and adding in a door, which I think works out all right. And then just adding in just a small seating area out here for your Sims to hang out at, I guess, if they are maybe waiting to use the basketball court. And yeah, I like that there is a basketball court on the lot, but I don't know if I love it here. So you'll have to let me know what you think of it, if it makes sense or if it's just super weird and out of place. But yeah, just adding in a half wall up here on the roof so I can add in some like HVAC and other roof details. And then I had some trim around the floors, but I get rid of that. And here's where I get rid of those hideous stairs, and I do something a little bit simpler. And again, it takes me a little while to figure out what I want to do, so cut ahead a little bit. But yeah, just use a double wide stair that kind of wraps around. I thought that made a lot more sense, a lot simpler. So yeah, and then just kind of doing some landscaping here. Try to keep it fairly simple. I'll do kind of almost like a planter area underneath the stairs just to fill in that space here in a minute. And I do have a Twitter and Instagram account if you want to follow me. I don't post a ton on there yet. I'm still trying to figure out what makes sense to post on there. So if you have any thoughts, please let me know. I'd love to hear them, especially if you follow any other Sims creators or even just any other creators. I've been trying to figure out what makes sense, and it's a lot to manage, between creating videos and doing social media. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'd also love to do some TikToks, but I don't know if I'm creative for that. Like, people on there are hilarious, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm just finishing up the landscaping here, doing some terrain paint, and then I'll move inside for some kind of finishing touches. I have to kind of reintegrate the yoga studio and that lounge area into the build. So I expand the kind of balcony area and kind of reposition some of the plants and whatnot to make it look okay again, I guess. And then I'll also add in some signage outside. If you've seen any of my other videos, I do love to bounce around adding in things. It's usually I'll just be scrolling through the catalog and I'll find something and it'll remind me that I need to add it. So I go through and add in all these exit signs. I always think that's a nice touch in these kind of commercial builds. And then I add in these neon signs, which I think which fit in really well. There's like an open sign. There's also this kind of illuminated cupcake one, which is kind of cute. So, and a coffee one that I add to the outside the cafe. Yeah, and I was trying really hard to get that one tall painting to fit in, so I finally got that one in there. I just swapped it with the historical kind of looking one. And then I'll just kind of go through and make sure all the lighting looks okay, make sure everything's actually attached to a ceiling and not just floating. And that'll pretty much wrap it up. I'll leave you with the screenshots here in a minute. But if you liked the video, please leave a like. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching and have a great day.